Hi everybody. We are going to make a plant cell foldable today. So the first thing we need to do is gather our materials. We're going to need a regular pencil with an eraser. We're going to need a variety of different colored pencils, some scissors, and a glue stick. So if you don't have your materials yet, go get them, pause the video, go get them, and come on back. You're also going to need a half a sheet of regular white paper and a half a sheet of construction paper, and the color of the construction paper does not matter. So let's get started. Let's put the construction paper to the side for a few moments. Okay, so this is a plant cell, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with drawing the cell membrane. Generally speaking, plant cells are pretty square, so this is kind of a square one. Let's call this the cell membrane. That we just drew. The inside the cell membrane is the actually outside the cell membrane is the cell wall. And I'm just using two different shades of green right now. This is the cell wall. We'll put that down. Let's go ahead and put that one down here. That would be the outer one. The cell membrane is the inner one, and we have the word membrane touching the inner one, so we know that that's that one. And then let's put inside a nucleus. And that's pretty big for a nucleus, but that's okay because if we make it any smaller, we may not be able to see anything inside of it. And then let's go ahead and put this dark object in here called the nucleolus. Now, you are not responsible for learning to recognize and the function of the nucleolus, but we're going to do an activity in which we're going to be looking at some plant cells, and you're going to see that because they stain very nicely. So I want you to know what it is. And then let's put some of our old buddies, the chromosomes, in here. And of course you know what those are. Okay, and then plant cells have this big old vacuole, it's called, V-A-C-U-O-L-E. It's a big storage area. You're not responsible for learning it. However, the vacuole is really easy to see in a lot of cells, and in the event you see one in an activity that we're doing, I want you to know what it is. And then let's go ahead and draw some chloroplasts. And this is typically how artists draw them. They look a lot like this under a microscope too, so hopefully you'll be able to see a bunch. Okay, chloroplasts. And let's go ahead and we'll call this one the chloroplast. Okay. And so we've got the cell wall, the chloroplast. Oh, then we need some mitochondria. Mitochondria are also, they're a little bit smaller than chloroplasts typically. And they're also kind of in the same shape but smaller. And we'll put a bunch of these around here. There's usually several of them in a cell. We'll just go ahead and draw 4, maybe 5. It doesn't matter. But these are called mitochondria. And, okay, so we have, I think we have everything marked that, oh, and then here's the last thing. We'll call this the nuclear membrane because it is. There we go, nuclear membrane. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make the foldable part. And let's go ahead and make a flap right here for the cell membrane. I'm only going to cut it in two places. And then we'll fold down like that, and that'll be our flap. Okay. Okay. And then let's make a flap for the nucleus. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the word nucleus and fold it in half, kind of like. And then I'm going to go like this and cut it so that I'm going to cut up like this to make the rest of the flap. There we go. And I'm going to go up like this, and that'll be the flap for the nucleus. And then we're going to do the same thing with the chloroplast. We're going to fold it, the word chloroplast, in half, and we're going to cut below it so that we can go up with a flap. Oh, that's not a very straight cut, but that's okay. Chloroplast is going to come up like that. So there's our flap for chloroplast. Let's make a flap for the cell wall. Just 2 cuts there, and then fold up. And then let's make a flap for the mitochondria. There we go. All right, so now what you're going to do is you are going to glue the back of this, I just use scrap paper, onto, and glue everything but the back of the flaps, and then you're going to glue it onto this piece of construction paper that you see here. Okay, and so let's start writing underneath what some of these things are. The cell membrane controls materials that leave and enter the cell. Okay? Nuclear membrane does the exact same thing, only it controls materials that leave and enter the nucleus. Okay? That's why we have that one marked. Remember, nucleolus is just for location purposes, because I think you're probably going to be able to see the nucleolus when we look at our cheek cells. The nucleus is the object that the organelle that directs cells' activities. It's considered to be the brain of the cell. And you know chromosomes are the objects that carry the DNA molecules. The mitochondria convert energy in food to energy for cell use. So, plants make their own food, and so they take the food that they make, and then, just like you and I, they use the energy from the food to carry out its daily functions. So that's what the mitochondria does in the cell. The chloroplast captures sunlight and change its energy to a usable form. And then I'm going to try and squeeze in here in parentheses that chloroplasts are not in animals. Okay, so the chloroplast, I colored it green on purpose because chloroplasts contain a chemical called chlorophyll, which is green, and that's what makes plants green. And so the job of that is to capture sunlight, energy from the sun in the form of light, but that doesn't, the plant can't use that. And so the chloroplast changes the energy from the form of light into an energy that it can use in order to make its own food. And then the mitochondria comes along and takes the energy from the food that it's produced so that the cell can use it for its cell use. Okay? And then the cell wall has 2 functions. One is to protect the cell, and the second is to give strength to the cell. And put in parentheses, not in animals. So think about this. Plants typically are growing outside, and they're in the wind, and they're in hail, bad weather conditions at times. And if trees had a trunk that was really flimsy, they would just snap in two. But a lot of trees don't snap in two because of the cell wall. So the cell wall gives the plant the ability to be flexible enough so that it can like sway in the wind, but yet it won't snap into two. And so that's what the cell wall does. And if you think about the giant redwood trees in California, in Northern California, some of those trees grow over 200 feet tall, and their trunks are very, very thick with tissue, and a lot of that is cell wall that gives it its firmness. So that is going to wrap it up for our plant cell foldable. We're going to put this in in our journals. We're going to glue it in the back of the construction paper onto the next available page in the journal. And then at the top, let's write down that this is a plant cell. So let me show you my completed version. This is the plant cell, and on the top, and go ahead and put the date. And as you can see here, this is what the foldable looks like. Alrighty, see you later.